Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to be bringing to you the rest of the week that was in pro wrestling. So it's going to be TNA Impact Wrestling and AEW Collision. Definitely a very interesting mixed bag of both shows. So we are going to get to it, starting off with TNA Impact Wrestling. Start off with a little video recap of Rebellion, which obviously very appreciative for. Then we see Nick Nemeth come out. He joins commentary. I thought he was going to cut a promo or something. But no, just joining up with commentary as we go to our first matchup of the evening, which I'm going to say this. I appreciate wrestling promotions who have some wrestling first and then do a promo. I'm always good with that. We got AJ Francis taking on Casey Navarro. Personally, I thought this was just going to be a quick squash match, but Casey really held his own in here. And I'm going to send some flowers to AJ Francis. He has really grown as a wrestler since his days in the WWE. And it clearly shows in this matchup with the wrestler the caliber of Casey Navarro. Although, some interesting moves. Casey kept going for an Olympic slam all over the place. But with AJ being a little too heavy, he couldn't get to it. Eventually, he got him up to the second rope, somehow, after a big old super kick. Hit an Olympic slam off the second rope, only to get a 2. Attempted the crossbody. AJ catches him, lands the TFL. But then at that point, Nick Nemeth stands up. Stands up for commentary. Was that a tongue twister? He rips his shirt, revealing, I guess, an old jersey of AJ Francis. I'm not sure what that was. Looks like an old XFL jersey, which I haven't seen those in a long time. Which apparently distracted Francis for a long time, up until Francis turns around, goes for the down payment chokeslam. That gets blocked. Casey rolls up AJ for the win. And, that was honestly a really good opener. Whole lot of fun. Do I wish it was a little cleaner for Casey? Yeah, but I understand we're continuing the AJ Francis Nick Nemeth feud, which I am totally up for. Next up, we see the entirety of the system, including Alicia Edwards, who turned on Moose at Rebellion, heading to the ring. Then we go to a commercial break. Come back, we get an EC3 promo. He's back in the fold. And he says, well, I did inherit the last name of the Carters. I became champ on my own. That was Act 1. Act 2, it's the trials and the tribulations outside of TNA, going all over the place, building my brand. Act 3 is the comeback. No, it's a crusade to finish what I started. Am I a 2-time TNA champion? Yeah, well, I'm back now to finish the job. So, clear cut goals for EC3. I'm cool with him being back in the fold. It does make some sense. We'll see if Dixie Carter becomes more involved. I don't think she will. But, hey, you never know. So next up, System goes to the ring. We start off with Brian Myers, of all people, saying, what's with the reaction? You're a little upset we ended the reign of the Hardys? We are the new tag team champions. We're going to keep it real with you. Not everything went as planned. Eddie should be TNA World Champion. So then Myers passes the microphone to Eddie, who says, I brought it against Mike Santana, but I didn't lose because Mike was the better man. I lost because of Moose. He couldn't stand the idea of the system holding all the gold. But you want to know something? Moose, I'm glad you're hanging out with me made you smarter. You like the collusion? We played you like a fiddle. And Rebellion was meant to be domination for the system. But now we're still dealing with Moose. So then Eddie passes the microphone to Cedric, who sounds like a real psychopath right now. Where he says, Slater, you cheated to beat me. You used the title illegally. I'm owed a title shot. So then this brings out Leon Slater, our X Division champion. He grabs another microphone and says, Cedric, we can all hear you. When will you shut the heck up? That leads to a shut the up chant, which, love that. Leon continues, you need to face the fact that you lost, and I still got the X Division title to prove it. This kind of leads Cedric to try to go after Leon, but the rest of the system hold him back. So Leon continues, and the proof I'm the best is I got this still. Oh, he's mad. You're finally understanding why I'm on the verge of becoming the longest reigning X Division champion of all time. So then, I think it was either Eddie or Myers taking the mic back. No, it is Cedric still, who says, you've got nothing but a cute run going. You'll never become the longest reigning champion. You don't have what it takes to get the job done. So at that point, this brings out Moose. Gets a nice little reaction. And he just roasts the entire system. He comes out and says, Cedric, it's just like you to make excuses. Myers, you're nothing but a little bitch. No, Eddie, you're nothing more than a little bitch. All I see are bitches in the ring. Bear, Myers, Cedric, I've beat you in the last couple of weeks. But Alicia, now I know who has... Eddie, now I know who has the balls in this relationship. Talking about Alicia. And then it takes a beat. Moose then finally says, Myers, we all know you're nothing but Edge's bitch. Which, that's quite a reference. If you don't know, when Joe Hendry was in TNA, he made a music video on pretty much all the heroes, including Brian Myers and Matt Cardona, calling them Edge's bitch. Which, fair. So then, Moose continues, Lish, I have 30 knockouts in the back that know you're the biggest bitch in TNA. So Alicia grabs the microphone and says, Moose, you are nothing. All the men are talking. Leon then grabs the mic, says, we're all in our attire right now. Why don't we do this right here, right now? So Moose and Leon are about to run in the ring. Out comes, well, let's call her what she is, a killjoy, Daria Ray. Saying, no, absolutely not. This kind of funny business happens with Santino in charge, but not me. So then Leon turns to her, says, Daria, this is why everyone prefers Santino. We want the match now. So Daria takes a second, thinks about it, says, you know what? You're right. You're going to have your match. However, it's going to be Leon and Moose versus the entire system. So, little handicap match coming up. That's interesting. So, yeah, we'll see where we go from there. Here's my only issue with... You know what? I'm going to save it until the end. My thoughts. Because maybe it's a little deep, but I'd like to share it. Anyway, next we go to a Kaz Elijah highlight video from Rebellion, which, that was pretty cool looking. Then we see Daria Ray. It looks like she's sitting in the locker room, which I guess they don't have offices in this building. I don't know. Then we hear strumming of guitar strings. Elijah just spawns in, asks, where the heck is Santino? Daria answers, suspended. Elijah answers, I want my rematch with Kaz. Daria responds, you're a competitor. I'm the suit. I make the matches. Let me make a quick call. Then, I assumed she would go off screen and we'd get a little commercial break. She actually makes the call on screen, which I don't think I've ever seen that before. So then, Kaz picks up, which I'm very surprised by that, with Daria saying, look, I'm here with Elijah. He wants a rematch. And then we kind of hear Kaz say something else, but ultimately he just says no and hangs up. And that's kind of the end of the segment. I will admit that is very creative. Maybe we could see more backstage stuff like that. But yeah, that was pretty cool. A neat little detail. But yeah, more than likely we are going to get that rematch somewhere down the line. So, next up, we get a little break. A little commercial break. Come back, we've got Order 4 coming up. I thought this was going to be the Tasha Steele match, but first, Mustafa Ali has something to say. Saying, I'm happy as a clam right now. Why would I not be? I'm surrounded with On It, with my homies, and the TNA International title. And you should be happy too. You have a champion that doesn't need a second chance. However, I'm the guy that gives chances, as I'm issuing the TNA International title Open Challenge, where it's open to anyone from TNA on the TNA roster or anyone on the independents. Come and get it. So then we get a beat. Then he turns to the stage saying, Miss Jada Stone, come out. Steel kicked your ass the last time you two faced. She's going to do it again here tonight. So this is our next matchup of the evening. The Knockouts match. As we got Jada Stone versus Tasha Steele. And I'm going to say this, these two have some great chemistry. Their first match was a little off, but ultimately this absolutely made up for it. Really good back and forth. It was still a little awkward, but I do feel like they worked out their kinks. And then after a face buster, Order 4 distracts the referee. Tasha hit the Hail Mary for a 2 count. Tossing Steel to the outside. Order 4 were about to attack her, but the ref saw them, threw them out of the match. Tasha Steel gets back in. Stone with a roll-up, only for a 1 count. And Jada Stone with the Spark Starter, which is a great name for a finisher, to pick up the win. So, maybe not the cleanest I would have seen it, but I enjoyed the heck out of this match. And I wouldn't say no to a rematch somewhere down the line. These two have some great chemistry. And hopefully they work it out a little more in the trifecta. Now, here's where things get a little interesting with Mustafa Ali and the international title. So it does look like we're getting an open challenge for this title. And honestly, there is a long list of people I would like to see challenge for it. Richard Holiday, Luigi Primo, let's get him in there. Big Trouble Ben Bishop. Honestly, whoever else you can think of. Honestly, let me know what, either on TNA's roster currently or are on the independents you'd like to see challenge for the international title. Because there's definitely some matchups I'm missing that I would like to see as well. So then we go to back to the Undead Realm with Rosemary. She's looking around, and then she finds someone in a very... It looks kind of like a broom closet, but it's weird looking. And then she's kind of looking around and finds Joseph Park. If you don't know who this is the alter ego / brother to the Monster Abyss. A character they introduced in, I want to say that was 2012. That could have been 2010-ish. Where they were doing that story, which, honestly, I really enjoyed. So, Joseph Park says, I'm looking for my brother. Abyss. Which he would do when he initially debuted, which was hilarious. So Rosemary says, I haven't seen him. It's fine. Everything going well at Park and Park. I didn't really catch what he said because he talks really fast. The character talks way too fast. So then, Joseph goes to leave. Rosemary asks, where are you going? And he says, up north. So, that's a little dig at Joseph Park, aka Abyss, now working in the WWE as a producer. So, that's a funny little nod. I like that. But then this is where it gets weird. So we get Tessa Blanchard, Victoria Crawford, and I forget her other teammate's name. They're kind of fumbling around the Undead Realm, looking for a way out. And then we get this, demon girl. I don't know what the heck. I thought it was Allie in a different outfit. But then when I saw her interacting with Crawford and Tessa, I'm like, oh, this is a different person. And like, she's got like devil horns, she's got a silk dress on, and it's weird. Like, I'm not sure who this is supposed to be. Maybe it's a new wrestler. Then we see Tessa running from her. She stops, asking for someone from directions. And at first, I thought that was Stu Young, the undead bride. But maybe it was a nod to her, because she definitely had a bridal outfit on. And then they just start fighting. And then Tessa fights her off, and that's where that segment ends. So, I'm trying to keep track of this Undead Realm stuff. It's about to get really crazy. Especially with the goal is to revive Allie, which is what Rosemary's doing. Anyway, so later on we see Nick Nemeth and Casey Navarro. They're kind of talking in the back, with Nemeth congratulating Navarro on his win. Then Ryan Nemeth walks in, Nick's younger brother, saying, "Hey, you're my big brother. You're not my family, so what gives?" Nick Nemeth begins to explain, saying, "Look, it's okay. I'm just trying to look after him." And at that point, Bear Bronson and the rest of the system walk in, with Bear taking the lead, saying, "Oh, look, Nick's got a new baby brother." So then Ryan gets... Actually, was it Ryan or was it KC? It might have been KC saying, "Look, I don't like your tone, man." Bear then says, "I don't like you. I won't be hard to find," and walks off. Then Ryan takes one look at both of them, says, "I'm calling Ma," and walks off while on the phone. So, yeah, it looks like Nick Nemeth is going to be mentoring Casey Navarro, which honestly could be interesting. Although I'm going to say this, I personally would have Casey Navarro contending for the X Division title. Although maybe a nice tag run with Nick wouldn't be bad. But that's just me. So then, throw it back into the ring for a promo from World Heavyweight Champion Mike Santana. Then he says, "Rebellion went exactly as I knew it would. I'm still the TNA World Champion. I'm here holding down the fort, taking out every former champion thrown at me. But now, I'd like to give an opportunity to someone who has deserved it for a while. I'm going to give it to Rich Swann." Which, definitely an interesting challenge. So Rich Swann comes out on the stage, says, "God damn, it's not every day an opportunity falls into your lap like this. Respect goes back tenfold to you, Mr. Santana. I've seen your climb to the top, but are you sure you want to do this? You're looking at the total package of pro wrestling." We're going to both take our glasses off, which they do. "If we step in this ring, people will be talking about this match for a while, and know you and me in the ring. I'm going to give it everything I have and fight you all night long." So Santana gets back on the microphone and says, "The people have spoken here. Daria Ray, you want a match to blow the roof off this house? Let's sign the match." So, yeah, we're getting Mike Santana versus Rich Swann next week. So, that should be a fun one. I'm looking forward to that. Then we get the TNA injury report segment, which I absolutely enjoy. Then we get a G. Lynn Lee promo / highlight video of her history with Xia Brookside. And she says, "When I started, I didn't understand wrestling. Along the way, I learned to love it. And during that time, Xia Brookside stood by me when I won the title. We became a team. We became the best of friends. When I lost the title, she still stood behind me. Then everything changed, and I don't understand why. I didn't just lose a match. I lost my best friend." The emotions coming out of this woman. God, I felt every single second of it. Well done. Then, right after that, we get an interview from Xia Brookside. Interviewer asks her one question. She stands there stone-faced. Doesn't answer anything. Walks away. Xia Brookside, the heel. I'll admit, didn't have it on my checklist, but color me interested. So, next up, we got EC3 taking on Eric Young. A battle of a TNA OG and an Impact mainstay, I guess. So, as EC3 is making his entrance, Eric attacks him on the ramp, tosses him into a couple of things. Then on the outside, the bell rings, which, I don't know, that's a little weird for me. I'd like to see them get into the ring before the bell rings. But then they just kept fighting. Like, they fought all over the arena for a little bit. Eventually, EC3 did give Eric Young in the ring. Attempted the 1%er, but Eric Young blocked it. Gave him an irate, and then a big old clothesline. EC3 was going for another attack. Eric Young pulls the referee in the way, stopping EC3. So then, at that point, a couple of other referees come out, check on the downed ref, and then that ref just called off the match. At that point, EC3 grabs a chair, goes to hit a chair shot, and Eric misses. Eric with a big old elbow, then slips the chair onto EC3's neck. Looks like he's about to toss him into the apron or something. But security comes out, initially stops Eric Young. Eric Young then fights off security. And then runs the other referees off. And then he throws EC3 into the ring steps neck first. So, yeah, that's... I didn't think that would be a long match with a winner. I do wish it was a little bit more, but I do understand we're building to something here, which I am all for. So then we get the next part of the Rosemary segment, where we see Rosemary walking down this hallway, runs into a masked man who looks like a mix between the Sandman from DC and No, not the Sandman. The Scarecrow from DC. And, like, one of the masked dudes from Fallout, if that makes any sense. And it looks like Rosemary's trying to get out of the way. They kind of walk together. It looked like they were about to come to fisticuffs. Then they talk to each other like they're old friends. And Rosemary asks about his mom. It was definitely a weird segment, but Undead Realm is definitely weird. So then we see Allie and the former Jakara Jackson. I forget her name. Sadie something or other. So they standing in a room. The new character, who I thought was Allie, in the room. Allie tries introducing herself. The new character then teleports across the room and seems to leave. But then someone else, I don't know who the heck it was, sees her, screams, runs off. Then at that point, we see Tessa run into Rosemary, with Tessa just screaming at her, "Get me out of here! I want out!" Rosemary kind of looks around, looks at Tessa, says, "No." At that point, they just brawl. And then we see Tessa running from the new character, runs into Victoria Crawford and her other teammate, with Crawford saying, "I've been looking for you everywhere. Where the heck were you? What the heck happened?" Then Tessa said, "It's nothing but an interruption." So then we see Allie and Jakara Jackson find Rosemary. Allie's like, "Who did this to you?" Rosemary said, "Tessa." Then Allie gets this stone cold look on her face, says, "That's my friend," and runs after them. So then Tessa and her team pass through, run into the Sinister Minister, asking them, "Look, how do we get out of here? What are we doing?" Then turning around, seeing the new character bounding for them. And then James Mitchell says, "Oh, you just go through here," pointing to a portal. They will run through it. Portal closes. He then turns and flirts with this new character, like he hasn't seen her before. So maybe that's a part of the Undead Realm James Mitchell has never been to. I don't know. This whole thing was weird. Anyway, it continues. So Tessa and her team, then some weird images show on screen for a second. Then Tessa and her team come out from under the ring. In which, that's kind of funny how much stuff goes on under there, from like Little People's Court in WWE, stuff like that. Then at that point, we see more images. Then coming from the ramp is the former Jakara Jackson and Rosemary. They then sprint right at Tessa and her team. They brawl for a little bit. They take out Jakara Jackson. Then they get Rosemary in the ring. They surround the ring. Rosemary's like, "Bring it!" At that point, lights go on. More of the same unsettling imagery. Then we see Allie come out. to a moderate reaction, and then fights off Team Tessa on her own, standing tall with herself, Rosemary, and Chikara, the former Chikara. So it looks like we're getting some sort of trios match in the future. I'd definitely be okay with that. And yeah, hopefully the goal is to have Allie and Rosemary take the tag titles. But honestly, either way, good to have Allie back. And yeah, we'll see what this means for the Undead Realm. Because no way that's just closed to the public now. So next up, we get a little commercial break. Then we get this really interesting promo from the Hardy Boys, where Matt is talking. He's going in and out of his broken gimmick, which, honestly, that's pretty neat. With Matt saying, "Righteous, you're happy now. You beat us down not only physically, but mentally as well. It's nothing like a near-death experience. We're going to make you the sacrifice to our plans. Righteous, it's almost broken season." So, yeah, we're getting the Broken Hardys coming back very, very soon. Excited-ish for it. Although, I'll say this, I wasn't that big a fan of the Broken gimmick. Not exactly my thing. Although, that's neither here nor there. And then we get our main event, a handicap match, pitting the entirety of the system. So that's Bear Bronson, Brian Myers, Cedric Alexander, and Eddie Edwards, taking on X Division champion Leon Slater and Moose. And yeah, this was a very interesting matchup. Obviously, the system had the numbers advantage, but each and every time Leon Slater would slip out and go on the attack, and then whenever Moose would come in, he would pretty much just destroy fools. Eventually, the system did gain advantage after a big old Boston knee party. Leon counters with a Blue Thunder Bomb and a Frog Splash for a 2 count. Leon whiffs on a clothesline. Moose with a couple of Uranagis. Cedric attempts a lumbar check again, only to get rolled up for a 2 count. Eventually, Cedric does roll through, hits a pretty impressive lumbar check to pick up the win for the system. Then we see post-match Moose checking on Leon Slater while the system are leaving. And then we kind of finish with a recap video of the episode that just happened, which TNA, don't do that. That just feels like the biggest waste of time. Like, we all watch the episodes, we're not goldfish. But overall, very entertaining episode. Here's my only issue, and it's, while a lot of people do see it as small, I'd like to see a bit more varied flavors on who Leon Slater is defending against. Like, it feels like the X Division is just so thin lately. Like, I'd like to see it get a buff and bring in some fresh faces for Leon to face. I mean, what the heck happened to Ricky Sosa? Let's get him back in soon. But overall, a pretty entertaining episode. I'm not saying it was the best, but it was definitely not the worst. Interesting little middle of the road as we build to our next pay-per-view for TNA. which I'll say I'm pretty excited for. So that was TNA Impact. We now finish up with AEW Collision Spring Breakthrough. And we start off very interestingly with a promo from Adam Copeland, formerly known as Edge. So he comes to the ring, says, "So, Dynasty didn't go our way. My face got messed up. I got this big old shiner. My body is being held together by glue, taped, and hopes. FTR did what they said they were going to do. They even got to Cage. But here's the thing. They gave my wife a pile driver. They took Cage's watch. And 3 things you don't want to mess with. His watch, his wine, and his women. In that order. And FTR, on Dynamite, you said we can't get another title shot as long as you're champions. Don't worry, I'm cooking up an idea on that. But if you think Dynasty was just about the titles, you think we're just going to walk away and let you ride off into the sunset, that's not what we do. Cage was forced to retire after his injuries. But he got this back. We're still standing. And FTR, we are like dogs on the bone. We'll take a pound of flesh. At that point, FTR's music hits. I thought they were going to either jump him from behind or not show up. Eventually, FTR does come out. They come out on the stage. But coming up from behind Copeland is Roppongi Vice, that's Rocky Romero and Trent Beretta, who attack Cope from behind. At that point, Roppongi Vice hold Copeland open for an attack by FTR, who are in the ring at this point. And then making the save, it's them Young Bucks, who just throw all the super kicks around, and then Cope with the spear. Then you see Cope and the Young Bucks share a nice little handshake. Very interesting way to open Collision. So it definitely appears Cope and Cage are not done with the tag team championships. In which I'm definitely for it. And then we also got the wrinkle in with Roppongi Vice and the Bucks. We'll see how that goes. Because it's definitely going to get very interesting. So next up, we go backstage for a Jack Perry promo where he says, "I got my first taste of defending this title at Dynasty. Don Callis, I beat your biggest and your best. After what you did to the Bucks, pick your favorite goon so I can defend this against them." So it does look like we're going to get some sort of open challenge with the Callis family. We'll see who they send, because it could get very, very interesting. So, next matchup, we got the Young Bucks, Matt and Jeremy, taking on the Rascals. However, it's not Zachary Wentz and Desmond Xavier. It's Zachary Wentz and Myron Reed tagging together. First time on AEW seeing this combination, and honestly, it worked just as well as the other one with Dez and Zach. And honestly, these 4 had some awesome chemistry together. They worked super well. But then, after a BTE trigger, and at first blocked Meltzer driver, but the Bucks eventually do hit it for the win. And then post-match, out comes David Finlay and Clark Connors of the Dogs, as they attack the Bucks and the Rascals. This brings out Dez to try to even the odds a little bit, but even he was beat down. And then eventually David Finlay gets a microphone, says, even down one man, you'll have to, if you really want to get rid of us, you're going to have to kill all of us. We want body. When we came here to AEW, we want nothing but stacked bodies, and we want gold. And you're all about to get screwed. So, nice little innuendo-filled tirade by David Finlay. So it looks like they're trying to build up the tag division a bit more, which I am all for. And speaking of tag division, the women's tag team champions, not wrestling a match, getting a hype video, which at that point, just have them on the show. Even if it's for a squash match. This was so strange. Anyway, next match up, we got a tag trios title eliminator match. Now what that means is if the potential challengers win this match or get to the time limit, they get a future title match. But if they lose the shot. So our competitors, we got the full force of the conglomeration. That's Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong, taking on the Lethal Twist, which is interesting because the team of Blake Christian and Lee Johnson are called the Swirl. But now they're the Lethal Twist? Yeah, I don't get that. That's a little weird. Excuse me. So this was a great little trios match. They gave Lethal Twist plenty of time. But eventually, after an ankle lock by Kyle, Roderick Strong with the knee on, I want to say it was Lee Johnson. Then Orange Cassidy with an orange punch to Jay Lethal. So then we leave Blake Christian to tap out at the middle of the ring for your winners, the Conglomeration. That was definitely an interesting little trios match. I do hope we see, more stuff like this from them. And improving the standing of the trios titles. After that, we see Hook in the back. He's being filmed by Katsuyori Shibata, talking about a coffee shop he wants to hit up, which is very strange. And as he's going to leave, Anthony Bowens walks in, pretty much says to him point blank, I need to know if I'm in the ops. So Hook kind of gets a little smug look on his face, says, we'll tell you this next week. For now, we're going to go get coffee. So, I don't know what the heck that was supposed to be, but I've got a funny feeling we're not seeing Anthony Bowens as part of the ops. So next match up, we got the women's tag team action. As we got a weird little Franken team that I'm kind of about. It's Chris Statlander and Hikaru Shida taking on the team of Big Hand and Danica Tel Rouge. Definitely an interesting couple of names. This was effectively a squash match. There was no way Shida and Statlander were losing. Match finish is interesting though. Shida hits the Falcon Arrow. She teases going for the Katana finisher move, but instead of going for it, she turns around, tags Statlander in with the head by tagging her head, which I guess that's Statlander's Sheeta's version of the boop, in which Statlander gets in, hits the Thursday Night Fever to pick up the win for her team. Again, an interesting little matchup with plenty of story to tell. Now, I'm not sure if we'll see Stat and Sheeta challenging for the tag titles anytime soon, but it definitely feels like something's going on here. Next up, we got another title eliminator match. This time, it's the Continental Champion as Jon Moxley takes on the returning Ring of Honor TV Champion Nick Wayne. Always great to see Nick Wayne back. At first, his mom joins him on the ramp, but then she goes to the back. Just as the bell was ringing, Nick Wayne bails out, takes his time getting back in, and they just have a really interesting technical match at first, which it's definitely been a while since I've seen Mox do that. But eventually that breaks, and then he just starts beating the heck out of Nick Wayne. Although eventually he did fight back, but finish comes after a Death Rider and a win for Jon Moxley. So, we're going to see what happens coming up. And, we'll see what happens with Moxley and, I believe, Ospreay going forward? Question mark. So then we go backstage. It's Don Callis and Okada being interviewed, although the interviewers started off screen while they were talking, then came up, and then they just stopped, with Callis saying, "Did you see what happened at Dynasty? It's clear Takeshita doesn't play well with others." But Okada, it's clear you don't have to be in the match. Okada then turns to Callis and says, "No, I want the match. Because I'm a champion, unlike Takeshita." No bitch at the end, and he just walks off. And right after that, made official for Double or Nothing. Heck to the yes. That's a great first match announcement. Can't wait to see what else is on the card, on the plan for the card for that show. And then we get this weird but intriguing match as we got Pac taking on Lio Rush. Now, as the bell rings, Lio Rush kind of collapses in the corner, and he's like talking to himself like Gollum would in Lord of the Rings. Pac then slowly walks over to him, kicks him a little bit, and that just gets his attention, because Lio Rush stands up, gets in his face a little bit. Then Lio Rush extends his hand. Pac is skeptical of it, and he has a right to be, because then he immediately falls for the arm drag. And Lio definitely doing some odd things with this gimmick, but I'm going to say this, I kind of dig it. Especially no selling moves like the pile driver. Kept getting gouged in the eye. At that point, after stomping a muddle in Leon on the outside, Pac gets back in, immediately pulls the ref to the side, as Daniel Garcia just starts beating the heck out of Lio Rush. Eventually, Lio does make it back in, hits a big old suplex. Lio with a cutter for a 2 count. Leon then locks in a pretty nasty looking sleeper hold on Pac, but Pac powers out. Then hits a top rope Rana. And then a cutter by Lio. Garcia then gets up on the apron. Lio Rush notices, starts walking towards him. Then Garcia starts throwing a bottle of water at him. But not like the full bottle. Like dipping his fingers and like the power of Christ compels you kind of thing. It's definitely a little weird, but as that's happening, Pac with a couple of suplexes on Leon, locks in the brutalizer, but Lio doesn't really tap out, but he passes out for Pac to pick up the win. That was a very, very entertaining matchup. A lot of little things that went into this that was really fun. And I'm going to say this. If you haven't seen that match yet, I'd say go check it out. But just be ready for the weirdness of Lio Rush. Because that's definitely a little strange. Anyway, next up, we got a little Bandito hype video. Kind of like the original ones he got when he was coming into AEW. Where he's like walking through a deserted old school western town. Getting into bar fights and stuff. That honestly was really cool. Then we get this weird little matchup. As we got Brody King. Finally good to see him getting on TV. Mystico and Mascara Dorada. Couple of luchadors. Taking on Ricky Gibson. I didn't realize Robert had any kids. Casey Rift and Cole Rivera. Those may be some of the most generic names I've ever heard. And yeah, this was pretty much a squash match. Brody started it off and just started beating the heck out of all three on his own. Eventually, the two, Mascara Dorada and Mystico, got in the ring. Got in some offense themselves. Dives to the outside on the opponents. Then Brody with a Gonzo bomb to pick up the win for his team. Now, I'm not 100% sure what we're going to see from this trio. I don't think we're going to see them challenge for the trios titles. But honestly, anything is possible at this point. We'll see. So next, we get a little Shida Statlander promo time. With Shida saying, yeah, we did it. We won the match again. We were so good. In walks Mina Shirakawa, who says, Chris, I need to talk to Shida. They talk for a little while in Japanese. But then that kind of falls off with Mina saying, I know everything you said about Harley Cameron. I don't know what you're up to. But I don't trust you. At that point, it looked like Shida pushed Shirakawa. Shirakawa is trying to fight back, but Statlander separates the two. And they all just kind of walk off their separate ways. Definitely going to be interesting to see what comes of that. I do believe we got Shirakawa and Shida for Dynamite next week, which I am wholly looking forward to. Then we get a little highlight reel of the match, the opening segment for Dynamite between Darby and MJF, but then also the main event, which lasted minutes, maybe. So, yeah, that was definitely an interesting highlight reel. Then we come to our main event of the evening, and it's for the AEW Women's World Title, as Thekla takes on Alex Windsor. And this, I'm going to say this. I feel like Thekla has more of a connection with Alex Windsor. I don't know if they've previously fought outside of AEW, but it definitely feels like they definitely have a bit more chemistry over, say, Hayter and Thekla. But overall, it was a really good back and forth match, where eventually we saw Thekla lock Windsor in the octopus hold, but Windsor makes it to the ropes on one leg, which that looks crazy. Windsor then locks in her sharpshooter, but Thekla gets into the ropes. Windsor was going for a driver of some kind, but Thekla countered it into some strikes, couple of headbutts. Then at that point, we see Thekla dig into her trunks while the ref was distracted, bring out a pair of brass knuckles, puts it on, goes for the KO punch. Windsor ducks it. She goes for the powerbomb. That gets blocked by Thekla, who is then up top, on top of Alex Windsor. Gives her one big KO punch with the brass knuckles. And then lines it up, hits a curb stomp to pick up the win. Yeah, that was a very interesting main event. I absolutely recommend it if you haven't seen it yet. So, yeah, that'll do it from me. Coming Monday is regularly scheduled programming from NWA Power and AEW Dynamite. Although, I do have a little bit of a question for you. So, I haven't really watched / covered any sort of WWE since, like, SummerSlam. Especially with Brock Lesnar there. Although it does seem he's retired at WrestleMania. So, let me know if you guys want me to get back to covering WWE. Right now I'm on the fence about it, but enough comments tell me they'd like to see me cover it. I will. So, that'll do it from me. Till next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.